It's a lucky escape for Joburg Mayor Kabelo Gwamanda as ActionSA temporarily withdraws their no confidence motion. But the all clear not yet been sounded at all. The Democratic Alliance wants to table a motion to completely dissolve the council and hold fresh by-elections. That could change everything. So there's two things to discuss here. We'll unpack them. Let's talk about, first of all, the possibilities of a fresh by-election. Gauteng Cooperative Governance MEC. It's Mzi Khumalo making time for me this morning. Mzi Khumalo, good to have you on ENCA. Can we just talk about what that entails? Just help me understand the nuts and bolts here of by-elections, fresh by-elections. How complicated is that to redo this?
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners. It is not really a complicated process. It is about a municipality coming to a conclusion that that particular municipality cannot function anymore, and therefore parties getting together and therefore agreeing that they dissolve that particular municipality in order for them to get a fresh mandate from the resident as such. But I just think that the Democratic Alliance and the parties in that municipality are just ahead of themselves. Because if you look at Johannesburg, you've got a government of local unity that is functioning thus far, doing the kind of work that they need to do to the resident of Johannesburg, providing services to the resident of Johannesburg, being able to process the business of municipality in a way of adopting the budget for municipality, prioritizing IDPs, consulting with communities through consulting with communities through public participation processes as per the law and so on. Yes, there are challenges there and there, but we have not reached a stage where we should be talking about dissolving municipality. The problem is the proponent of coalition governments are failing to sustain the concept itself and therefore its implementation, because at the core of it, it's not about the people. It's not about service delivery. It is about party interest as such. So coalition government can only work so long as it's led by me. If it's not me, this thing is not working. And that's what you're getting out of Johannesburg. I looked at even the motion itself. I think the motion, it does not talk to the real issues. It doesn't tell us what did the mayor do insofar as service delivery issues are concerned. Safe to say that the mayor has not acted in a manner that suggests integrity and so on. It doesn't tell anything. As you read it over and over again, you come to a conclusion that it has got nothing to do, totally nothing to do with the resident of Johannesburg.
If it had gone ahead, MEC, if the vote of no confidence by ActionSA had gone ahead, do you, based on the reading of the motion, do you get a sense it would have passed or it would have failed?
It depends on numbers. Because where they are now, it's a number game. If the ActionSA had amassed enough numbers for it to pass, of course it will pass. And then it will mean that we're back to square one. We don't have a mayor again. Because the unfortunate thing is that people can pass a motion, but they will have a difficulty to replace. Because if you say, let the mayor go, ensure that there's no stability, ensure that you elect the mayor in the next coming 14 days or so. But the difficulty with these coalitions thus far is that they will say the mayor goes, then if they have to replace, they can't replace again, because as I say, it is not about the interest of the resident of Johannesburg or issues of service delivery. It's about party interest. People want to be in power at all costs.
I want to ask you this. Let's move away from, which party's done what, ActionSA, DA, this multi-party charter, because I think this is actually the first test for the multi-party charters since it was signed. But I want to move away from that. And you're right, to focus on the residents of Gauteng, on the residents of Johannesburg specifically. This is the concern that I have with next year's general elections. Once again, it seems coalition governments just don't work. It doesn't matter who's agreeing with who, those agreements change, and it's difficult for us as South Africans to understand what exactly is going on.
Well, the multi-party charter seems to have failed even before it has started. Johannesburg being the nearest example of that. Secondly, I agree with you. There was this euphoria of coalition government, and I'm saying even the proponent of coalition government are failing to sustain the concept itself, are failing to make sure that coalition government do work, and are failing to recognize coalition governments where they work. Like, as I'm saying, in Johannesburg, there's really no need of us to be talking about a motion as matter stands, because rather we should be talking about whether the multi-party or the local government of or the government of local unit in Johannesburg, as it is structured, is it working or not on the basis of their budgets, priorities that they put in place, the IDPs that they put in place, and so on. So assessing them objectively as such. But no, we are here because parties have put their interest ahead of the interest of the citizens. So what is the message out of there? The message out of there is that citizens must then stand up, because clearly this thing has been proven that it's difficult, it's not working, it is not in their best interest. It is my observation that the best way to do is that give one party the chance to run the city, and therefore be in a position to hold it accountable in a situation where it fails you. Because South Africa as it is, yes, maybe in the near future, coalition governments will work, but as matter stands, it does appear that it is not, because one of the things is parties are not driven by policy issues on these issues. They are driven by interest of leaders at a given time. A person just wakes up and says, I think I can be the mayor, and therefore, what is it that I can do? Let me push for a motion of no confidence, go to other parties and try to mobilize them to support me. And that's exactly what is happening. And the problem with that is that it is disruptive to service delivery as it is.
Yeah, I think that's been a great way of explaining how it's played out over the last few times, the last couple of motions of no confidence. It's the residents in the end who are badly affected. Okay, so the MEC, appreciate your time this morning. Mzi Khumalo, Gauteng Cooperative MEC, saying as far as the city of Johannesburg is concerned, maybe the coalition governments isn't the way to go. It certainly looks like it's going to be coalition governments of some shape or form by the time we get to national elections next year. But Mzi Khumalo saying maybe in the city of Johannesburg, based on the record, based on history, doesn't seem to be the way to go. Give it to one party and hold that party accountable. You agree? Disagree? Well, you can tweet us. Sorry, you can send us a message on X. You can't tweet us. You can X us. It's at ActionSA. I'll get that right one day.